Shabbat Shalom again. We'll take a little survey. Would you raise your hand if you participated in some sort of Thanksgiving meal yesterday? Keep your hand up if it involves some kind of turkey or poultry other than chicken. I hear that some do duck. Any duck people here? Turducken, I learned about that also. What a horrible American invention. Raise your hand if you watched football. All right, interesting. Not everyone in the room. There you go. Raise your hand if you, around your table or at some point during Thanksgiving yesterday, took some time to share with another person something for which you are grateful. Great. Interesting. So this, of course, gratitude is a key theme of the day, although, I watched yesterday, actually starting on Wednesday, this incredible influx of emails I got from every retailer that exists telling me to plan my Thanksgiving around their stores and when they were opening, or I could get my Black Friday deals even on Thursday, even on Wednesday. And I thought to myself, wow, this is really distracting from this one day a year that we set aside as Americans just to be grateful. And so it got me thinking a lot about this idea of gratitude in America and really comparing that to gratitude in Judaism, because they're actually very different notions. In Western culture, we tend to define gratitude as the quality or feeling of being thankful for the gifts and blessings we have received or that we possess. When we perceive something positive has happened to us, as a result, we experience and hopefully express gratitude. That's what we do on Thanksgiving, or what we might strive to do. Jewish tradition perceives gratitude differently, though, and it moves the concept out of a passive, reactive realm into an active, transformative one. In many ways, in Judaism, gratitude is more like a muscle. And we choose to activate this muscle and cultivate it or not. And like a muscle, it will atrophy without regular use, but it will get stronger each time we use it. And the key to its use in a Jewish frame hinges around the understanding that Jewish gratitude is not a feeling reserved for after experiencing or receiving something positive, but rather gratitude is a precursor to everything. It's something our tradition teaches us to seek out and cultivate proactively, regardless of what's going on, recognizing the good that is already ours all the time, in every situation, even in the negative ones. Very countercultural to the American notion of gratitude. Of note is that the two Torah portions that flank our American Thanksgiving really stress this form of gratitude as core, if not the core foundation of Judaism since its earliest inception. As in last week's portion, we are introduced to the name Yehudah, from which the word Yehudi, or Jew, originates. And in this week's Torah portion, we witness Jacob wrestle out of the name Jacob and into the name Yisrael, from which the entire construct of the people Israel arises. So let's learn a little bit about each of these Torah portions to understand it more deeply. In last week's portion, called Vayetze, we learned the sad story of Leah, the unmarried older daughter of Lavan. In the portion, our patriarch Jacob falls in love with Rachel, Leah's younger sister. At their wedding, Laban, thanks to the opaqueness of biblical bridal veils, puts Leah in Rachel's place, causing Jacob to marry Leah instead. No one should try this at home. It's a horrible idea, and will really cost a lot in therapy afterwards. But in the Bible, this was not the case. But nevertheless, it left horrible emotional residue. Not pleased, Jacob agrees to work for Rachel's father for another period of years in order to eventually marry Rachel. And all the while, Jacob is married to Leah, but does not and will never love her. She is truly a victim of her circumstances, about which there is very little she can change. When God takes note of her situation, she is blessed with fertility, But the names she chooses for her first 3 children reflect not her aspirations for the new lives of her offspring, but rather only her desperation to be loved by her husband. Their names are all embedded with words of lack. Nevertheless, and sadly, her yearnings for love still remain unrequited. But when Leah births her 4th son, Yehudah, something changes. The Torah reads as follows: "She conceived again and bore a son and declared, 'This time I will thank God,' Yehudah." This time, Leah makes no mention or even inference to her struggle and suffering, despite the fact that her struggle and suffering certainly remain. The Talmud later names Leah, the mother of Yehudah, as the first person in the Bible to express true gratitude. Why? As biblical scholar Shai Held teaches, it's likely because it's one thing to be grateful when everything is wonderful, when all of our dreams have been fulfilled and all of our hungers sated, but it's quite another to be grateful when life is complicated, when some of our most cherished dreams have remained painfully unrealized. Leah is the first person to feel and express gratitude, even and especially amid profound sorrow and enduring disappointment. So that's Yehudah. Now on to Yisrael. This week's Parsha, Vayigash, offers us additional insight into the central value of the cultivation of gratitude. Jacob and Esau are set to meet again. Now you remember, this is not a good brotherly relationship, Jacob and Esau's. They have been estranged for quite a while, and this estrangement really began after Jacob fled for his life from Esau about 20 years prior. But Jacob believes himself now, 2 decades later, to be a new man. He sends messengers to Esau to let him know who he is now after all these years have passed. And the way he tells his servants to describe himself to Esau is through terms of economic success, instructing them to describe to Esau all the wealth that Jacob has acquired, as if to say, "Look at me, Esau, I'm a real macher now." The only problem in this is that after Esau receives this message from Jacob's messengers, Esau gives Jacob's messengers a messenger to report back, which is, "Sounds great, I've acquired way more than you, so who's the real macher brother?" This is a power play that's going on between the two, and it leaves Jacob in deep existential fear, and forces him into some sort of biblical midlife crisis, causing him to have to look at himself very deeply in a mirror. He spent the last 20 years trying to build himself up, to become successful, to gain power in his mind, and now it seems that that was all for naught. Jacob then sends everything that matters to him, everything he's acquired, all of his physical possessions, and all of his family members one way, and he stays the night before he's to reunite with his brother, alone. In this moment of solitude, where all of the external things that he's used to define his identity are removed from him, he turns to prayer. And in this moment of prayer, he's searching for direction, as he seems to feel that his grasp on all the ways he understood himself is slipping. And he says the following to God: "I am not worthy of all of the loving kindness, all of the chesed, and all of the truth, the emet, which you have shown me, your servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I have become 2 camps." And it's in this moving expression of gratitude that Jacob is now newly aware of what is real and what is true, the only things that are ever real and true in life: loving kindness, chesed, and emet, truth. It's from this place of seeing things through a lens of gratitude, that Jacob enters into his famous wrestling match, and refusing to give up ultimately merits the name Yisrael. Gratitude rests at the core of Jewish identity. It's perhaps for this reason that we Jews celebrate a Thanksgiving of sorts, not once a year, but once a week, every Shabbat, a day in which the only focus is meant to be Gratitude. Gratitude to God, gratitude to each other. Traditionally, even, we are not permitted to offer prayers of requests at all on Shabbat, but instead direct all of our spiritual attention to thankfulness for the goodness that abounds, even if we find ourselves in a place where it is hard to perceive it. American culture may understand gratitude as reserved for that which we experience as positive, but the Jewish frame provides a structure for the experience of gratitude wherever we are on life's journey, in the heights, in the depths, and most often somewhere in between, in the murky middle. A Jewish experience of gratitude invites us to see the good even when it's hard, contextualizing our reactivity to the negative in our lives with a sense of purpose and direction. And that enables us not only to move forward amidst challenge, but also to potentially impact the world for the better all the while. Cultivating this muscle of gratitude, we can indeed live our lives with heightened purpose, empowerment, and meaning in this season of Thanksgiving and all the days of the year. May it be a continued year of gratitude for us all, where we learn to build that muscle, practicing it, using a lens to see the world through it. I think if you take up this notion, this practice, you will see all things transform.